Now, Wave News Sunrise.
Well, you know what I did this morning in the car? Turned down the heat.
Yes, yeah. I didn't even put on the heated seats this morning.
Wow.
And I wore a light jacket today. So that kind of shows you how much warmer we are across the area, especially if you know me, when I'm sensitive to anything below 50 degrees. It is really not dealing with much of a jacket. But we're looking into Frankfort right now, where we're seeing some of those wet roads because of the light showers that we've been dealing with early this morning, but already seeing those clearing skies for those of you across Indiana. So we still have some of that drizzle, a few spotty showers going on from Breckinridge County through Hardin County and into Nelson County. Some more of that light rain coming down a bit more in Spencer County, parts of Washington County, Kentucky, and into Franklin County as well. So as we head over the next 12 hours, that light little bit of rain that we're still dealing with right now will move out by the time we reach really around 7, 8 o'clock this morning, allowing us to enjoy drier conditions for the rest of the day with a little bit more sunshine showing up for the afternoon. That sunshine is going to drive us into the low to mid 60s for your highs for later on today. So it is going to be a nice and warm day, and we'll be even warmer tomorrow. In fact, we could reach the upper 60s for highs for many of us before more rain moves in for Wednesday night into early on your Thursday morning. But behind that front, a little bit cooler with some of those highs returning to the 50s yet again, which is right around average for this time of the year. Olivia?
I wish you could have seen my face when you all were talking about not blasting the heat in the car this morning, because I definitely did. But you all know I'm always freezing, so I had the seat warmers on. I was blasting the heat. So cold to me. But hey, right now we're looking at some roads that are pretty clear. Just a little bit wet this morning. Might be dealing with a little bit of moisture out there with some of that rain coming down. As we look at our traffic map, things are looking all green right now. Just one car pulled over on 71 northbound. It looks like a semi that's off to the side has its lights on, as you see there on the left-hand side of your screen. So just keep an eye out for that this morning. Shannon.
Thanks, Olivia. Representatives from Givaudan are sitting down with the community again tonight, and they have a lot to discuss, including what is next. Wave News reporter Josh Ninke joining us in the studio this morning with more.
Yeah, Shannon, it's been almost 4 months since the plant explosion that killed 2 workers and injured 11 other people. Officials are getting in front of the public again to answer questions tonight. The Metro put out an agenda with some more details about tonight, so we should get updates from officials on a few topics. They're going to discuss more of the early findings and which agencies are still investigating. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives already determined that this was an accident. We should also get more information on the agencies that are monitoring things like soil and air quality. Officials are also looking to the future. They plan to discuss where Givaudan is moving and what's next for this piece of property. Tonight's meeting starts at 6:30 over at United Crescent Hill Ministries. The agenda says it will last 90 minutes with a hard stop at 8 p.m. There's also a chance for residents to ask some questions, but make sure to keep it short. You'll only get 3 minutes. Now, if you can't make it out to the meeting, we'll have a crew there to capture everything that happens, and we'll have that update on air and online for you. Live in the studio, Josh Ninke, Wave News.
Thank you, Josh. Loved ones of a 20-year-old who was hit and killed while helping change a tire are now left with just memories. Kentucky State Police say 20-year-old Amari Mays Clark was killed by a hit-and-run driver on the Bluegrass Parkway in Nelson County Friday night. He was helping his friend, who was also hit while changing a tire. Amari graduated from Franklin County High School just last spring. His former football coach, Eddie James, says he was with the team through multiple championships and a team player, even while battling injuries. He says Amari was always a bright spot, and his family is trying to channel that energy.
Just a kid who was out here lost and didn't know what he wanted to do. So just knowing how good of a human being he was, how good of a person he was, and the impact he could have made in our community and those things, that's what hurts the most. Amari's mom stood up in church yesterday and prayed for the driver. Just to see her strength is a lesson to all of us that, you know, our tough days aren't that bad.
We have a link to support Amari's family in this story on wave3.com. Kentucky State Police say Jason Hamilton was driving the Jeep that hit Amari, and he turned himself in hours after the hit and run. Hamilton is facing several charges, including vehicular homicide when under the influence of alcohol. As Kentucky shifts now from a focus on emergency rescue to stabilization, Governor Andy Beshear announced another death from the recent severe weather. Now 22 Kentuckians lost their lives.
Just a number. These are 22 Kentuckians that are loved by their families, that are being mourned, that are missed and are going to need our help, our support, and our prayers today, tomorrow, next week, next month, and in the years to come.
The governor also confirmed President Donald Trump approved federal assistance for flood recovery. Includes 10 counties in the hardest hit areas in eastern Kentucky. Those affected can be eligible for up to $43,000 in assistance through FEMA. Even with a few dry days recently, the damage of all the rain continues to impact the state. Look at this historic flooding. It made the Kentucky River swell, causing a mudslide that damaged Buffalo Trace's distillery. A cargo container tumbled and a temporary office building sank into the mud. Thankfully, no one was hurt or killed when part of that bank collapsed. A company representative says this does not stop bourbon production, though, and they've hired professionals to clean it up. And the Ohio River, an area near the waterfront park, also needed cleanup.
Pinchers, bags. We're focusing on litter debris, and everything natural is going to be left behind, and our maintenance guys are going to come through with their heavy machinery and remove it all so that we can get this park right back in shape.
Clayton says 25 volunteers spent hours picking up litter from Waterfront Park, and they're going to be back out there today for another day of cleanup. So if you would like to help, you can park at the Wharf Blue parking lot between the hours of 1 and 4 to assist. The IRS is offering tax relief for those impacted by the winter weather and flooding in Kentucky. Following the disaster declaration FEMA issued, anyone who lives or has a business in the state qualifies for the relief. You have until November 3rd to file various federal, individual, and business tax returns and make payments. The deadline for returns and payments normally is due April 15th. And a reminder, some Kentucky taxpayers may experience another delay. The state's Revenue Department will begin a 2-week pause on operations starting tomorrow. That is because they are transitioning to a new tax filing system. Individual filers will be able to file returns, but state returns won't be processed during the transition. Taxpayers are expected to be able to start filing using the new system starting March 14th. Well, you've seen these long lines outside of Kentucky driver's license offices, and now some lawmakers are looking to change that. House Bill 518 would move the issuance of the standard licenses back to the circuit clerk's office. The law would only impact the issuance of the standard driver's license. It comes after frustration across the state due to long lines and difficulty making appointments. Some lawmakers say the change would streamline the process and cut down on the frustration.
Not reasonable for Kentuckians to make an appointment, to show up, and to have to wait many hours, and in some instances not be able to get their driver's license renewed at all due to an issue with documentation.
If this bill becomes law, it would not take effect until July of next year, giving circuit court clerks more than a year to get ready for the change. Well, nearly a year after this, remember that heroic rescue of the semi-truck driver who was dangling off the 2nd Street Bridge? Louisville firefighters are talking about that day. Captain Joe Barrow was working downtown doing some paperwork at the time when he got the call about this semi that it had crashed over the bridge. The driver, Sydney Thomas, was left dangling in the cab of her truck for 40 minutes. Barrow was in charge of helping send firefighters over the edge and then back up again without hitting the bridge or nudging the semi.
We work together so well that we're able to communicate sometimes without even speaking. Never really think about something of that magnitude. So for me, I think that's so far has been the highest thing I've ever had to put myself to the test.
Barrow says it was after the rescue was completed that he realized what the team had just pulled off. Incredible. All right, here is Tawana right now taking us through the next 12 hours.
And as we head over the next 12, we are going to see those highs back into the 60s for this afternoon. It's very warm, and we'll see more of those 60s showing up for tomorrow, too. But as we look ahead, we do have a bit of a cool down and then more rain coming into our forecast. Let you know when after the break.
Thank you, Tawana. It's now been 10 days since deadly flooding washed through Kentucky. How recovery operations are going, including the help animals are getting. And yesterday marked the 3rd anniversary of the war in Ukraine, but some lawmakers say they're angry after President Trump blamed it on Ukraine. What some lawmakers have to say coming up on Wave News Sunrise.
Now, Wave News.
Indiana Governor Mike Braun is working on a way to keep Dolly Parton's Imagination Library in Indiana. The governor has asked First Lady Maureen Braun to lead an initiative that would continue funding, and she'll work with donors and look for opportunities to keep that program free for kids. In the current state budget proposal, there is no funding to support the Imagination Library in Indiana. The program sends books to children for free every single month from birth through the age of 5, encouraging the development of reading skills. And of course, Wave News was part of bringing Imagination Library of Louisville here. So sign up those kids because we are still supporting it here.
Yeah, and some pretty good books involved in it as well. And for anybody maybe looking ahead and you're thinking, maybe I should grab some books for when we get a little bit cooler. Not a bad idea. Even reading outside today, not a bad idea with the warmer weather coming our way. We do have a front off towards our west. That's going to try to push towards the area, but fade as it does so. Here at home, we'll watch those clouds clearing for those of you first in southern Indiana. But then for those of you further to the south, you're still dealing with a little bit of that light rain and some drizzle from Breckinridge County into portions of Hardin County. We're seeing some of that light rain moving towards E-Town as of right now. Some drizzle from Hodgenville over towards Springfield and Lebanon getting in on some of that light rain. But not much showing up right now on our SkyTrack camera in E-Town. Any of the rain that we're seeing this morning has overall been pretty light. Now, as it moves through, we have seen our temperatures dropping somewhat across the area. Most of us, though, sitting in the 40s to start off the day. 41 degrees in Bedford, 45 in Columbia, seeing 49 degrees for those of you in Fort Knox and Bardstown, 50 still at the airport in Louisville. But for most of the metro, we are seeing those 40s for your Tuesday morning. As we continue throughout the rest of the day, that little bit of rain that we have left over quickly moving out over the next hour and a half, allowing us all to enjoy a lot more of that sunshine through the late morning all the way into the afternoon. That sunshine will be just enough to push us into the low to mid 60s for your highs for later on today. Now, we'll see a few upper level clouds trying to drift on by for later on tonight, but with most of us seeing clear skies and light winds, a couple of things are going to happen. We'll watch temperatures first dropping down into the 30s across our region, and second, the other thing that we'll have to keep an eye on, the potential for a little bit of some patchy fog, and that looks to be mainly for river valleys across the area. This is where we have a better chance for some of that fog trying to show up for tomorrow morning. Certainly not a widespread issue, it looks like, as of right now. Of course, we'll continue to monitor it for that Wednesday morning commute. Now, as we get into Wednesday night and very early Thursday morning, this is when we'll see some more of those showers coming back into our region. Does not look to last very long. We'll climb all the way into the mid to upper 60s for highs for tomorrow afternoon. We'll watch for more of that rain pushing into our region after sunset Wednesday night. We'll watch for some rumbles of thunder as well for the overnight hours. So by the time the sun comes up Thursday morning, most of that rain should be long gone. And it does not look to be a lot of rainfall. Most of us seeing around 1/10 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch of rain, but we could see some slightly higher totals for those of you south of the parkways, just because you could get a little more of those thunderstorms trying to come our way. Thankfully, nothing severe expected with that. Now, behind that system, we are going to be cooler on your Thursday with highs only in the low to mid 50s, a little bit warmer on Friday, and then we'll see another slight cool down showing up over the weekend because of a front moving through. Then this front only looks to really bring some clouds, and then those highs into the low 40s for your Sunday. An alert day still in place for Tuesday night into Wednesday morning of next week, because this is the time frame that we're seeing a better chance for not just heavy rain, but some stronger storms trying to show up in the forecast, and we're going to watch those trends very closely. Behind that system, we'll cool right back down into the 40s for highs for the end of next week.
Thanks, Tawana. And breaking this morning, police in France have arrested an American teenager accused of throwing a baby out of a window. Here's Olivia with more on this breaking news alert.
And sadly, that newborn baby died after being thrown from the second floor window of a hotel. Police say the 18-year-old mother had just given birth. She was taken to the hospital for a postnatal procedure where she was taken into police custody. Details about her identity are still very limited. We know she's an American teenager traveling Europe with a group of other young adults, but we don't know exactly what state she's from or her name. Prosecutor's office said the incident is being looked into as a possible case of pregnancy denial. Shannon.
Thanks, Olivia. A proposed Kentucky House bill would raise the penalties for repeated domestic violence abusers in the state. How that would work coming up.
Here's a look at the current Kentucky Lottery jackpots. The Kentucky Lottery, over $5 billion in grants and scholarships.
6:20, and it's now been 10 days since a deadly flooding washed through Kentucky. Governor Beshear says we are no longer in the emergency search and rescue phase and now in the stabilization phase. Many of the counties are asking for cleaning and sanitizing supplies. 53 people are currently staying right now at 6 state parks, and assessments are underway of the damage. Crews have been surveying roads, too, and one of the things they really need right now, they say, drinking water, because some systems were impacted and they're working in a limited capacity. Kentucky Emergency Management is working on a debris removal task force as well. Nearly 24 dogs were picked up by the Kentucky Humane Society after the flooding in eastern Kentucky. The Humane Society took in the 20 dogs from Estill County. These dogs have not been displaced, but they're making room for animals that are. The dogs were taken to the Fern Creek Pet Resort on Bardstown Road. That's where they'll be housed. They'll be in separate buildings from the pets currently at the resort, and this will help the Estill County shelter focus on housing displaced animals in the area.
Might have an animal that gets loose because their home has been impacted, but because of all of the circumstances surrounding that, maybe their car got flooded, maybe they're still flooded in, they can't necessarily get to the shelter to look for their pet right away. So we try to make as much room as we can so that these shelters can hold those flood victim pets for longer in order to reunify them with their owners.
And the Kentucky Humane Society is helping shelters, too, in Floyd and Pike counties as well to transport the animals. All right, well, maybe you're taking your dog out for a walk because I know I have. The weather's been so much nicer.
It really has been. They may have a little bit of some wet paws this morning because of the light rain that we had earlier this morning, but overall for the afternoon, it's about the sunshine, those highs back into the 60s. We'll see more of those 60s showing up for tomorrow. Keep in mind, while most of the daytime hours looks dry, as we head into the evening, this is when we'll see a few more rain showers coming back into our region. Most of those moving out pretty early on Thursday morning, allowing us to enjoy some quiet weather on Thursday, too. We keep things relatively quiet in terms of rainfall or any precipitation through the upcoming weekend, but another front will move through as we head into the weekend, dropping our highs back down into the 40s on Sunday. We'll easily rebound into those low 50s on Monday, some 60s showing up by next Tuesday and Wednesday as we keep an eye on another system that will try to bring some showers and thunderstorms our way for late Tuesday into Wednesday, so an alert day is out for that before we see another cool down behind that system.
Thank you, Tawana. The Vatican says Pope Francis has shown a slight improvement in his battle against double pneumonia, but remained in critical condition Monday night. The Vatican said there were no episodes of asthmatic respiratory crisis during the day, and some lab tests have improved, too. The kidney problems the Pope suffered earlier are no longer an issue. Last night, Pope Francis called the pastor of Gaza Parish to express his fatherly closeness, and he thanked those who have gathered to pray for his health in recent days. This morning, there will be a special Mass for Pope Francis in Louisville. The Mass of Healing will take place at 10 this morning at Holy Family Catholic Church on Poplar Level Road. Archbishop Shelton Fabre will hold the Mass. On the third anniversary of the war between Russia and Ukraine, some lawmakers on Capitol Hill are concerned about what happens next for Ukraine after President Trump's recent comments about the war. Members of the Congressional Ukraine Caucus wanted to make it clear on the anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, they continue to stand with Ukraine. The anniversary came as the Trump administration is changing the U.S.'s approach to war after years of sanctions under the Biden administration. Earlier yesterday, the U.S. voted against a UN resolution condemning Russia for the Ukraine war. Last week, the administration began direct talks with the Kremlin and blamed Ukraine for the war. Members in the Ukraine caucus spoke out against President Trump's actions yesterday. Other lawmakers outside the caucus spoke in support of the president's recent moves.
Trump continues to do Russia's job for it by bringing Vladimir Putin out of isolation, by cutting Ukraine out of negotiation.
President Trump, he's not just a deal maker, he's a peacemaker. He doesn't like war, and he said all along he wants to stop it, stop the madness from killing.
The White House press secretary has said President Trump is confident his team can get a deal done to end the war this week. It's unclear whether that will actually be possible, though. In recognition of the 3-year anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, people in Louisville impacted by the war have been lending a hand. Members of Louisville's Ukrainian community volunteered with Love the Hungry. They donated more than 11,000 meals to send to people impacted by the war, especially children. The nonprofit has helped deliver hundreds of thousands of meals to the country since the war began, and many of those helping out said it's their way of making a difference despite the distance.
So it is very important for us to help with something, not just talk, not just say that we support, that we want peace, but we wanted to actually them to have something in their hands, and meals, I think, is important.
All the meals that were packed last night will be loaded up today and sent to Ukrainians in need. If you'd like to get involved with Love the Hungry, we have information on wave3.com. It's 6:26 and the fallout continues from the explosion at that factory in the Clifton neighborhood. Another meeting is being held tonight. What they plan to discuss coming up.
Now, Wave News Sunrise.
Good morning to you on this Tuesday. Meteorologist Tawana Andrews out in the weather garden this morning, and let's go to her. Do we need an umbrella out there right now?
Here in Louisville, no, we're dry now. The rain's already moved out. Now, for some of you along in south the parkways, you're still dealing with a little bit of that light rain and that drizzle in your area, so you may want to grab the rain gear. But notice, yeah, more of us north of the parkways dry. Still seeing some of these spotty showers in areas of drizzle, basically from E-Town to Bardstown south. But those are already quickly moving out as we get closer to the 7 o'clock hour. A lot of that will be out of our region, so this is not lasting much longer. Once we get into the afternoon, we're going to stay on the drier side and the sunnier side for today. So grab those sunglasses as you're heading out. Temperature-wise, mainly in the 40s, still holding on to 50 degrees, though, for those of you a little bit closer to the airport in Louisville, and a touch colder in North Vernon and in Madison, where you're currently now into the upper 30s. So grab those jackets as you're heading out as well. Going to need them, but mainly just for the morning, because once we head into the afternoon, this is when we're going to see those temperatures back into the low to mid 60s for highs across the area. So certainly on the warmer side for the second half of the day. And as we look ahead to the next couple of days, we do see some more of those 60s showing up for tomorrow, with the cold front moving through Wednesday night to Thursday, bringing some showers, and that's going to cool us down for the rest of the week. So those 60s that we're dealing with right now are going to be the warmest temperatures that we're going to see for the rest of the week before we could see more of that warmth heading into next week. Olivia?
That sounds good to me. Hey, speaking of 60s, it looks like that's where our speeds are sitting this morning. Traffic's starting to pick up along 71 at Zorn and 64 at Blankenbaker, but you're not waiting in traffic by any means right now. It's just where we're seeing the most cars this morning. As we look at our traffic map, just one car pulled over still on 71 northbound. It's a semi. It's off to the side, has its lights on, so you should have plenty of space to get around that. It's just off to the shoulder, so not causing any issues. That seems to be the only thing popping up on our traffic map this morning. But we do want to get you to a breaking news alert. Kentucky State Police investigating a shooting involving a trooper. This is on Hubbs Hollow Road in Knox County. Police haven't said if anyone was killed, but they did confirm that no officers were injured. Details are still limited in this case, and we're expecting to learn more later today. Shannon.
Olivia, thanks. Officials from Givaudan and the Louisville Metro plan to answer questions tonight about November's deadly explosion. They're hosting another community update. Wave News reporter Josh Ninke has more on what is next.
Shannon, it's been a few weeks since the last community meeting. We already know that the company won't rebuild at the site, but there are still lots of questions. Here are just a few of the topics that we're expecting to learn more about tonight. The agenda mentions an update on early findings and the timeline for current investigations. We're expecting officials to tell us how the public can view the full findings once everything is wrapped up. We should also find out more about site and neighborhood security. Louisville Metro officials also plan to discuss what's next for the property since Givaudan is moving and how the community will be involved moving forward. Now, here's what you need to know if you plan on coming out. The meeting starts at 6:30 over at United Crescent Hill Ministries. The agenda says it will last 90 minutes with a hard stop at 8 p.m. Officials also plan to take questions from the community. This won't be the last of these meetings either. They plan to set a date for the next one as the last order of business tonight. will also be at tonight's meeting. You can catch all the updates on air this evening and online at wave3.com. Live in the studio, Josh Ninke, Wave News.
Thanks, Josh. A Kentucky woman who was the getaway driver during a deadly robbery-turned-shooting has been resentenced. Dakisha West will be on probation for the next 5 years. Prosecutors say she was the getaway driver for Kevin Thompson, who shot and killed Kyle Elsley during a robbery at a car wash in 2021. In January, West was sentenced to 5 years and released from jail on time served. Days later, the judge ordered a resentencing, saying West needed some kind of supervision and guidelines. Yesterday, West was given credit for the 3 years she has spent on home incarceration, plus 5 years of probation. The shooter in the case, Kevin Thompson, was sentenced to 36 years in prison. He remains in custody. Former Clark County Councilman John Miller is a step closer to going to trial. A judge denied his request to dismiss his conflict of interest charges. Prosecutors say he accepted gifts from former Sheriff Jamie Knoll after he voted to award contracts to Knoll's nonprofits, New Chapel EMS. Miller's attorneys had argued the case should be dismissed because Miller himself did not financially profit from the contracts. The judge ruled expensive gifts can fall under the conflict of interest laws. A bill aimed at better protection for domestic violence victims is moving through the legislature. House Bill 38 could increase punishment for people who repeatedly violate restraining orders. The executive director of Greenhouse 17, that's an organization that focuses on ending domestic abuse, says most protective order violations are a Class A misdemeanor. People can have multiple violations of a protective order, but they don't compile together to create a felony.
Every violation to a survivor says that that party is willing to kind of walk through that protective order and not listen to it because they don't believe there will be serious repercussions.
House Bill 38 would also make the third offense for violating the protective order within 5 years a Class D felony. It now heads to the Senate for consideration. Kentucky's Attorney General Russell Coleman is calling on U.S. lawmakers to pass a bill that would reclassify fentanyl as a more dangerous drug. Coleman has joined a coalition of 25 states supporting the Halt Fentanyl Act. It would permanently add the substance to the DEA's list of most restrictive drugs, also known as Schedule 1. Right now, fentanyl has temporarily Schedule 1 classification. That is set to expire, though, March 31st. Attorney General Coleman released a statement saying this: illicit fentanyl is a poison that is pouring into hometowns and neighborhoods across Kentucky. Law enforcement must have every tool possible to stop the flood and go after the cartels and drug traffickers behind it. A Senate committee considered the act last Thursday. In the wake of the Trump administration's efforts to roll back DEI initiatives, the U.S. Department of Agriculture suspended their 1890 Scholars Program. That program gives recipients a full tuition scholarship for those studying agriculture, food sciences, and other related topics at 19 universities, including Kentucky State University. Now, with some students having their scholarships frozen, leaders with Lexington's NAACP are encouraging impacted students to raise their voices.
It's really about definitive equalization of imbalances. It is not a handout. It is saying that the way this country was built, certain groups were left out, certain people don't have access to opportunity because of lack of wealth. Get people together, march, protest, make sure that your voices are being heard.
Our sister station, WKYT in Lexington, reached out to KSU for comment about the impact of the suspension, and they said they would not provide a comment because it's an ongoing situation. The future of research projects at the University of Louisville are unclear as a fight over federal funding in Washington plays out. Right now, the university is asking researchers to limit their spending and freeze departmental research incentive funds. Recently, the National Institute of Health announced a 15% cap on all current and future grant contracts. Right now, the organization is funding 167 projects at U of L, totaling more than $82 million. Governor Beshear says cutting off the money will only cause chaos.
Protecting our families, trying to create a better life, and so that next child and that next child's parents don't hear the devastating news. NIH funding is flowing at the moment, but new grants and what's going to happen in the future is certainly in question. We hope that will be resolved soon.
And there are similar measures playing out at campuses across the country as the Trump administration tries to cut back on federal funding. Organizers say they're seeing success from a new program that helps Louisville's homeless find a warm place to stay. It's called The Room in the Inn. It has helped more than 450 women and children find shelter since it was launched January 8th. The Christ Church Episcopal Cathedral opened a space as an emergency shelter. The cathedral has closed the shelter for the season, but organizers say they will take a look at the successes and the challenges for the future. Here is Tawana taking us through the next 12 hours.
And as of right now, as you're heading out, you may be dealing with a little bit of drizzle, but starting to see the first bits of sunlight coming through those clouds that are moving out of our region right now. So for those of you south of the parkways, you may still need the umbrella if you're heading out within the next 30 minutes because of that light drizzle in your area. But for the rest of us, we're talking about grabbing the jackets, grabbing the sunglasses, because while we're sitting in the 40s right now, we're going to end up in the 60s for later on today. So for those of you heading out a little bit later, you may need the shorts. Yeah, we're warming up quite a bit. I'll let you know when you are going to need the rain gear again after the break.
6:42. Okay, it's not every day that you find people eating cake inside a gym, but when one of the members turns 99 years old, it's a cause for celebration. Okay, this was at the Southeast YMCA celebrating longtime member Nell Perry. After water aerobics class wrapped up, they treated her to a party with not one, but 2 cakes, and look at that sign. Nell is fine. She's 99. She's been exercising at the Y since the 1990s, and now her daughter drives her there and takes classes with her.
It's a thrill to be 99 years old and still come to the Y. I do feel it's a blessing, and I'm thankful we have it. It helps you find friends, it helps you feel good, and it's good for your body.
Good lesson, right? She looks amazing, 99. Wow. So she says she still works out once or twice a week. Good for her. Awesome.
Ooh, I love that. We have no excuse.
No excuse.
No, we're both working out today, right?
Yes, we are.
Right. We gotta be like Nell, and happy birthday to her for sure. Maybe it's your birthday, and if you're celebrating, I have some wonderful weather in the forecast for you, but we're looking at some more cooler air eventually arriving. I'll talk about that in just 30 seconds. Good morning, meteorologist Tawana Andrew here with a check of your forecast. Now, we do have a front that's off towards our west, but that looks to fade before it ever moves into our region. Out ahead of it, though, we have been dealing with a little bit of light rain in some spots. However, that rain is already starting to move out, and the clouds are also starting to move out, especially for those of you in Indiana. You're already seeing those clear skies again, but the clouds still holding on for portions of Kentucky. And that light rain and drizzle still showing up from Munfordville up towards Springfield, but it's going to quickly start to move out as we head over the next half an hour to 45 minutes. Peeking into E-Town, you can already see some of the first light coming up over the horizon there. Everything is quiet right there on 31. Your temperatures right now range from 36 degrees in Madison, which is not so surprising since you are in that valley. You're going to be a little bit colder than everyone else. It is 45 for those of you in Hardinsburg, 47 into Frankfort, and 50 degrees at the airport in Louisville. Most of the metro, though, sitting in the 40s with a couple of exceptions. 38 degrees in Sellersburg and seeing 38 degrees as well for those of you in Crestwood. So that last little bit of rain will move out as we approach 7 a.m. and behind it, it's all about the sunshine for everyone as we climb into those low to mid 60s for highs for this afternoon. Now for tonight, we are going to keep our skies mainly clear. Yes, we could see some upper level clouds drifting overhead, but mainly clear skies are expected for tonight. That's going to help our temperatures to really drop, eventually ending up in the 30s for your lows for tomorrow morning. With the clear skies and the light winds, we also have to keep an eye on the potential for a little bit of that patchy fog for your Wednesday morning. It looks to be a little bit more likely near bodies of water, so our rivers or lakes, and in our valleys for Wednesday morning. But once the sun comes up after 7 a.m., we are going to get that fog to mix out, and we'll enjoy some drier weather for most of the day. Once the sun goes down Wednesday night, so after about 6, 7 o'clock tomorrow night, this is when we'll see some scattered showers and a couple of thunderstorms moving through our area. This will come with a cold front sweeping through. So out ahead of that front, very warm with those clouds overhead for tomorrow with highs into the mid to upper 60s. Then once we get into Wednesday night, this is when we'll see some of those scattered showers, a couple of thunderstorms here and there, but thankfully nothing severe. Everything moving out by the time the sun comes up on Thursday morning. And this is not a lot of rain in the forecast, by the way. We're talking about around 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch of rainfall across most of the region with this quick moving front. We can see some slightly higher totals for those of you south of the Parkway, just because you have a better chance to see some heavier downpours with a few of those rumbles of thunder coming your way. Now behind that front will be cooler for Thursday, Friday, highs in the 50s, then keeping it cool and comfortable right on average for your Saturday. Now another front moving through on Saturday will bring some of that colder air back into our forecast. So Sunday highs only in the upper 30s and low 40s as of right now. We do see that warming trend returning by the middle of next week, and we have alert days in place for Tuesday night into Wednesday morning of next week, as yet another storm system brings the potential for some heavy rain and some strong storms. So we're keeping an eye on that threat. Behind it, though, will be quiet and cooler with highs back down into the 40s.
Thank you, Tawana. 4 homicides in 4 months on one block. What made Esquire Alley between 10th and 11th Streets the most dangerous spot in Louisville? Tonight, in his troubleshooter investigation, John Bull goes undercover to try to find out what is going on there when the coroner isn't called to the scene.
Crime now, homicide, drug dealing, all of that stuff nowadays, people actually know, hey, I can get away with it.
Tonight, John will show us what is going on even at the same residences that just had homicides. And he has reaction too, including from LMPD, which has a targeted enforcement plan for that spot. See what he learned tonight on Wave News at 6. Scottie Scheffler's arrest at the PGA Championship in Louisville will now be featured in the Netflix series called Full Swing. Netflix dropped the trailer featuring the arrest yesterday. Scheffler relives the moment he was handcuffed and placed in the back of a police cruiser outside of Valhalla Golf Club. The incident stemming from a misunderstanding of traffic flow that led to an officer allegedly being dragged by Scheffler. Full Swing Season 3 premieres on Netflix today. Here's Olivia taking a look at the big stories we're following from around the country and the world today.
President Trump says he will be meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky this week or next week. He said he's hoping to sign an agreement with Ukraine about its rare earth minerals and various other things. He said it's close to coming to a final deal. Trump hopes that meeting will happen in the Oval Office. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth will travel to Guantanamo Bay for a briefing on all missions operations today. The Pentagon says the update will include the ongoing operation to transfer migrants to the naval base in Cuba. Last week, more than 170 migrants at Guantanamo Bay were flown back to Venezuela. As of Monday, there were nearly 20 migrants at the detention facility area of the base. And the new standards for labeling of food healthy have been pushed back. Late last year, the Food and Drug Administration updated the nutritional requirements for a product to be described as healthy on its packaging. The update was scheduled to go into effect today, but last month President Donald Trump issued a pause on the new rules. As a result, the FDA says the new rule will start about 2 months from now on April 28th. The new requirements include a limit on added sugars and sodium. Food companies have until 2028 to update their products if they want to use that healthy label. Those are some of your top headlines. Shannon will have more local news coming up in your Wake Up Watch list.
Taking a look at today's top stories in your Wake Up Watch list. Police are investigating a crash involving an LMPD officer and a suspected drunk driver. They say 2 officers were stopped on the Snyder trying to help a stranded driver. A woman claims she did not see the lights from the LMPD cruiser and rear-ended it. One of the officers was in the car, was taken to the hospital with minor injuries. The woman was also taken to the hospital. LMPD believes she had alcohol in her system. Tonight, another community meeting will be held for neighbors neighbors who had their homes damaged by the Givaudan factory explosion. Metro Councilman Andrew Owens is hosting the community meeting at United Crescent Hill Ministries. There will be several updates, including demolition of that factory site. They have said that they do not plan to rebuild there in the Clifton neighborhood. That meeting starts at 6:30, goes until 8. LMPD says it's following every possible lead, but they have no new information to share about that deadly shooting that happened outside of the driver's license office in Valley Station. Antoinette Chillers, Leslie Harbin Jr., and Rayso Valdez were all killed. The office says none of its workers were hurt, but extra personnel from Frankfort came in to support that office. If you have any information about the shooting, you're asked to call LMPD. And Waterfront Park needs some volunteers to help again with cleaning up today after last week's flooding. It caused the Ohio River to crest Thursday. But now there's a huge mess left behind. Debris and trash all washed onto the Great Lawn. If you would like to assist, park at the Wharf Blue parking lot, and they need your help between 1 to 4. Here's meteorologist Tawana Andrew right now, and it's going to be even better than yesterday.
Oh, we're talking warmer weather compared to yesterday. What we're seeing right now, the little bit of rain that we're dealing with is just to the south. The parkway is already quickly moving out, so that means we're now starting to see some of that sunlight coming up over the horizon and some beautiful sunrises showing up on our SkyTrack camera in Starlight, Indiana. You can even see the moon there in the center of the shot. Absolutely gorgeous. Now, as we head over the next 12 hours, we'll get to enjoy plenty of that sunshine as highs jump into the low to mid 60s for later on this afternoon. Looking ahead to the next 10 days, what we'll have going on is some more of that warmth tomorrow before rain returns Wednesday night. And then it'll be cooler for the rest of the work week and even colder with some 40s showing up on Sunday. Then we do still have that alert day out for Tuesday night to Wednesday morning next week as we keep an eye on another system trying to bring us some more heavy rain and eventually some thunderstorms.
But for right now, your morning commute's looking all clear. As we take a look at our Metro traffic map, everything seems to be all green. A couple spots of orange on there. Even checked 65 northbound approaching the Waterston. Didn't look like there was an issue there that's slowing things down. Probably just the normal flow of traffic. Also used to seeing Bardstown Road and Fern Creek a little bit slow at this hour, so don't be too alarmed by that. But we can take a look at our Metro traffic cameras. See, our speeds are looking good right now. I just can't get over that sunrise at I-265 at New Cut Road. It's just so nice to see a good sunrise because, you know, it felt like winter was just so dark and bleak. And
it was.
Yeah. We're not done with it yet, y'all. I'm just going to throw it out there. Oh, no. You know this stuff goes until Derby, right?
But
just let us
maybe
enjoy
we're done with the snow.
That's fine. I'll let y'all enjoy it.
All right. We will. The Today Show is coming up next. Hope you have a great day.
Get live streaming news, 24-hour weather, investigations, podcasts, and more, all for free with Wave Now. Sponsored by Menards.